Peace and blessings, everybody. I hope everyone is well, having a pleasant day or evening. Let's talk about temples a little bit. And by temples, I am referring to Mormon temples or Latter-day Saint temples, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, as I said, I have been a member for 30 years, give or take. I have served in many capacities. I have been, elders quorum president, clerk, branch president, obviously Sunday school teacher, young men's teacher. I've served in about every capacity in the branch that I served in. A lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of stress was involved. And I'm not complaining. I've grown from all of that experience, and as a man, as a human being. So I'm not complaining about that. Now, my perspective is not to jump on the truther claims. My perspective, although I understand they have their place, and I have been down that rabbit hole, and I've come to my own conclusions about the truther claims, and like I said, I've been an inactive member for a very long time now. So, but my angle is more of the esoteric perspective, and I don't want to be disrespectful, and I don't want to reveal anything that should not be revealed. So, as I said, I am a Freemason now, so I will treat the church the same way that I will treat, Freemasonry. And I have a lot of respect for, the craft of Freemasonry. So I will not reveal anything, any of the three modes of recognition. Okay. I'll just say it like that. So I will discuss general philosophy in regards to symbolism. But I will not reveal any of the three modes of recognition, which are basically, the grips, the tokens, and the passwords. Also, that can include a lot of the wording of the ritual. So, there's really not any, because to be honest with you, you don't need all that stuff to figure out the deep esoteric meaning of all of it. Now, why do I want to find out the esoteric meaning of all this stuff? What brought that about? Well, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we read in the scriptures all the time about the mysteries, right? And you keep hearing it, the mysteries, the deeper mysteries. And as you know, as members, we are discouraged to delve into the mysteries, right? But that wasn't good enough for me. So I just kept coming back to the mysteries. Why mention the mysteries if they aren't, significant? It's almost like, don't think about an elephant. What do you think about an elephant, right? So anyways, so I'm more into the esoteric, allegorical meaning of these symbols. Like I said, you don't need all the wording. You don't need everything. All you need are the symbols to figure out what's being alluded. And basically, anybody who studies the occult simply means hidden. It's not some evil satanic stuff that people like to portray it as in Hollywood. The occult simply means hidden, and there's a lot of that, especially that takes place in the temple. It's occult. It's hidden. It's a hidden message for those who are wise enough to figure it out and do their research. So, anyways, let's talk about it a little bit. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have time in this short video to cover all the details or highlight specifics, but some things that stand out that come to thought right now are, first of all, the temple is representative of the self, okay? The temple is basically the mind, okay? And all of this stuff springboards from previous religions. You go clear back to ancient Kemet. even before Kemet. This stuff has all just piggybacked off of each other, all of the symbolism, all of the messages and allegories. And the only things that have changed are the symbols, and the meanings of the symbols are the same. But they have given these meanings different symbols. So, for example, the mind is symbolic of the temple, and the temple is symbolic of the mind. And what is being taught in the temple is what takes place in the mind. They are revealing to you the workings of your inner mind. And to understand the workings of the inner mind is the greatest achievement that we can accomplish in our lifetimes. To have this true knowledge of self, this is, it all springboards from ancient, philosophy. To know thyself. The old adage, man, know thyself, It's teaching us how the mind works. It's trying to reveal to us the tools that are available to us. So imagine the mind as the temple. As we'd previously talked about in my other videos, the right side of the brain is the feminine side, and the left side of the brain is the masculine side, okay? Now, the men in the temple sit on the right side. The women in the temple sit on the left side. So you say, well, how does this make any sense then? It's backwards. Right. Because you haven't progressed yet, okay? You haven't been brought to more light, to greater light. Your understanding is incomplete. It's lacking, okay? You see things from a physical perspective, an exoteric perspective. You see, and what we're talking about now is the esoteric perspective. Now, when you see things from the exoteric perspective, you see things more literal, dogmatic, okay? So, another thing to understand how this represents the exoteric physical realm of existence is to know that the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, okay? And the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, okay? So it's reverse, right? Now, the secret here in understanding this is that the right side of the body is considered the masculine side. So it's opposites, okay? The right side of the body is considered the masculine side because typically it is the most powerful, the strongest, the most used in general. Occasionally there are some lefties out there. But the rule of thumb is that the right side is the masculine side, and the left side, being the weaker side, is the feminine side. So it's not backwards. It makes perfectly good sense. You have not attained and reached the level of understanding that you will later on in the temple, okay? So as for right now, the men are on the right, the women are on the left. So obviously, the significance of the male and the female attributes are very important and significant in the church. Now, you may have noticed on your clothing that you have one of these symbols here. It's a square, okay? Now, the square has been used for a very long time. The square is an ancient concept, and the allegorical meaning behind it is not the allegorical meaning that you're given in any of the fraternities. There's a deeper meaning to the square, okay? And basically the square emphasizes the male and the female importance, okay? For example, this part of the square here, the lower, okay, as you notice, it's flat, right? Like the earth, okay, Mother Earth, okay? This represents Isis. Okay, who was Isis? Okay, this is feminine. Okay, this part here, laying down, is feminine. Okay, it's passive energy. You see, we're talking about the elements of creation, the invisible elements, God's hand, and how he moves and operates. It's the creative particles and elements. This is the passive energy. It's the feminine energy. It's laying down with the earth, Mother Earth, okay? And so who was Isis's husband? All right, Osiris, right? Osiris. This symbolizes Osiris. It is obviously erect. It is pointing up. And, if you look at the Washington Monument, you'll find the same thing. Okay. They have an obelisk right there, and it's a representation of Osiris's phallus. Okay. And where does Osiris's phallus stand? On the earth, Mother Earth. Okay. And the phallus is also symbolized by the sun. Okay. The sun impregnates the earth. So once again, it comes back to the male and the female creative attributes, right? That's what it's all about. It's revealing yourself to you, and it's revealing to you that as within, so without. The way that you work within is the same way that the universe works without. Okay? This is like the greatest knowledge that humans can possess, is true understanding of themselves. And so this is being taught, but people aren't understanding it. They don't understand it in the church. They're not, many of them are not privy to this occult hidden knowledge. Okay. And that's, discouraged to delve into the mysteries. So, and it's, to me, it's unfortunate because I think it was really Joseph Smith and Brigham Young's goal was to reveal more. Now, we may have our opinions on them as to what kind of men they were, but, just like with the Adam God theory, there was more that would have been revealed and could have been revealed throughout the years of the church's, life. But as we see, that's been sort of, stifled a little bit there. It's just become basically standard Christianity, and all of the, things are getting watered down. But anyway, so let's get back to the symbol of the square that you do find on your garments. So as I said here, you have Isis, the feminine, and then you have Osiris, the masculine. And imagine, if you will, on the square, from this point to this point, a line. Okay, imagine that angle. Okay, that angle, that invisible line there is Horus. Okay, that is the product. Okay, and you can find that in Albert Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, that this definition of, the passive and the active energies, the male and the female, and the product is Horus. Okay, that's the physical manifestation. And sometime I may break down a little bit from the book that was used in the teachings of the School of the Prophets. You guys probably recall that book there, Lectures on Faith. A lot of people, if they weren't, versed in understanding the occult and the esoteric, it wouldn't stand out to them. But it is mentioned in there. It lays out very clearly that Christ is a representation of the blazing star. Christ is that Horus, that imaginary line that you can't see. When something manifests in physical form, because the scriptures tell us that Christ is God manifest in the flesh. Okay, so the symbolic meaning of that is that which is material is Christ. It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It can be a rock, it can be a blade of grass, it can be a particle, an element. Anything that is physical and manifested is Christ. God in the flesh, and you only realize this whenever you progress uh, a little bit further to true understanding. So let's get back to in the temple, male and female. The men are sitting on the right, and the women are on the left. Now, when do you get to see? When is it revealed to you your true nature? Okay. So when is more light revealed? When you understand. That's when it's revealed. Um, a lot of people go through ritual, but they don't receive the light. They don't receive the understanding. They don't receive the salvation. They just go through the ritual. They don't know the meaning. If you don't know the meaning, it's pointless. So it happens, and these are subtle things, you don't always pick them up. So you get up out of your seat and you go to the veil, okay? And you use the gavel. Even in the lodge, you'll see we have these decorative door pieces that have a gavel on them, and they're pretty cool looking. Anyways, so you have a gavel, and you knock. You knock 3 times, right? The number 3 is very significant. So you are showing that you understand the importance of the 3, the triad. You're showing your understanding and your proficiency of this to God, okay? And the 3 we discussed, right? The elements of creation, okay? The father and the mother, the passive and active energy, right? And then the child, the product of that thing. Okay, you understand the elements of creation, the 3, the triad, the triangle. They say it's the first shape to evolve. It's the closest. It's so important. It's the closest to God because it's the first. You have one dot and another dot. That's just the one line, right? And even another line, you still don't have a shape. I mean, you have an L, but until you have that other line to make the triangle, that's the first shape right there. That's a significance, and also, you know, something that you're exhibiting your understanding that when you take the gavel and you hit on that, you are teaching the law. You are showing that you are exercising the laws of cause and effect. You understand these principles, okay? You understand that the world operates from cause and effect. This is God. His law is cause and effect, right? And so, if you look at study Hermeticism, you understand that, all these things are a part of God's nature, his creative abilities, the way he works, the way you work, the law of correspondence, the law of vibration, all these things being taught to us right here, and it's just going over everybody's head, So you knock with the gavel, right? And something very significant that you're being taught here that you will not understand if you're not familiar with the esoteric language is that you stand and you knock at the door, okay? So when we read the scriptures, who stands and knocks at the door? Yeah, Jesus. And actually not Jesus, but Christ. Christ is Jesus represents the physical man, and then Christ is that, that spiritual element. Now, Christ stands and knocks at the door. If Christ stands and knocks at the door, why are you standing and knocking at the door? Because you are being taught that you are the Christ, okay? The Christ has been in you all the time. It's there. You are starting to come into correct, true understanding, true self-knowledge, understanding. So now what happens? Once you start to understand that you are the Christ. You're knocking at the door. Behold, I stand and I knock. Okay? And this is taking place within your mind. It's allegorical. You are coming into yourself. You are turning into yourself to communicate with God. Okay? Because where is God? God is everywhere. There is nowhere that God is not. Okay? God is in all things, through all things, above all things, below all things. God is the all. Okay? It's too big for the mind to comprehend. The only way that we know God is through his creation. Okay? Just like we talked in my previous videos, the only way to know the cause is through the effect. Okay? Now, further progression. When do we get the true understanding? When do we get to see things as they really are? You go through the veil. You go through the door. You go through the veil. Okay? You go to the celestial room. What is the celestial room? You're coming into godhood. You're coming into your true nature. Remember, everybody in the celestial room is dressed all in white. There's no labels. There's no identities. You leave all that stuff. You leave your watches. You leave everything. And you are in the celestial room in silence, pure white, purity. It's a symbol of light and purity, right? That's where God resides. That is God. Everything is God. It's teaching you that you have no identity. You have no identity. Okay? All is one with God. It's like if you take a little bottle of ink and you throw it on, hits the wall. Let's say that bottle of ink was God. Okay? When that ink splatters, you know, the droplets of splattered ink, they don't become something else. You know, they may appear to be separate from the center blotch of ink, but they are still ink. It's all ink. Okay? So that's what we're being taught here, is that your deepest, most inner core of not only you, but everything, it's all God. Okay? Everything comes from the one and returns to the one. Okay? So now, when you are on the further end of the temple in the celestial room, you finally have, symbolically, you finally have true perspective. Because from that point of view, you see everywhere. And you can look back towards the front of the temple. You're no longer on this side of the temple. You're on this side of the temple. And you have the view of looking back at all of the previous learning experience, right? That's why when you go up in the degrees of heaven, you know, you can come down, but those who are below you can't come up, right? Because they don't have that understanding. And so now that you are in the celestial room, you can look back, and if the men and the women were still in there, the men would no longer be to your right, and the women would no longer be to your left. You would see them correctly. You would see the women on the right and the men on the left. You see how your perspective changed from your progress. You progressed to a God state of being. You understand your existence. So now you're turning around and you see the nature of things as they are, as you are. You see that the right side is the feminine, and the left side is the masculine. As you look into your mind, and that's the temple. The self is the temple. As you are looking inside of the temple, you see true perspective now. So what's it all about? It's not so much that it's about something mysterious and unknowable. It's rather that it's about something that is knowable and it is testable. It's about knowledge that is hidden from the masses. It's about coming to know the nature of all existence. It's about becoming to know your God nature and God's nature. It's about coming to know who you are and your own potential. It's about learning about your possibilities. You know, what is your creative, your feminine side capable of imagining? And what is your masculine side of yourself capable of organizing and calculating to make happen? You know, And that's going to depend on the amount of time that we invest to each of those sides of ourself. We need to educate and strengthen both sides so that we might be able to experience our fullest potential, so that those two hemispheres of male and female, which are so emphasized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, family, right? That's another symbol. That's another allegory. Father, mother, and child. Creation, existence, right? The powers within us to create. Anyways, I hope that this was insightful to somebody out there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Or, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. If you like this video, if you want me to do more, let me know. Have a good day.